There are moments in a courtroom when the air itself seems to change, when the quiet hum in the room sharpens into something heavier, almost as if everyone can sense that an unexpected lesson is about to unfold. Sometimes justice arrives wearing a robe. Sometimes it arrives wearing irony sharper than any reprimand. And sometimes it walks in dressed head to toe in luxury, before we dive in. Let us know in the comments where you are watching from. We would love to see how far this conversation is reaching. It begins on an ordinary Tuesday morning at exactly 10 o'clock in Providence. Municipal Court Judge Frank Caprio has just taken his seat, settling in for what appears to be a typical day of minor offenses. Papers shuffle, attorneys whisper, and the gallery waits with the usual impatience of people hoping their case is called early. Nothing hints at the fact that a lesson about privilege, awareness, and consequences is about to unfold in the most unexpected way. The bailiff clears his throat and calls the next matter. The state of Rhode Island versus Olivia Sinclair. It sounds ordinary enough, a name like many others. But the moment the courtroom doors open, the atmosphere shifts. In walks a young woman who looks as though she has stepped off a high-gloss fashion editorial. She moves with the controlled poise of someone raised in immaculate hallways. Someone who has practiced confidence the same way others practice survival. She is 26 years old and dressed in a beige suit that drapes over her frame, with an elegance that could never be purchased off a rack. Her blouse is silk, soft and luminous under the courtroom lights. Her shoes gleam. Her jewelry glints with every turn of her head. And even before anyone speaks her name, her presence announces something unmistakable. This is a woman who has never stood in a room like this as anything other than a spectator, her attorney, polished and perfectly tailored, walks beside her carrying a leather briefcase that looks as though it has never known a scuff. As they approach the defense table, conversations in the gallery hush into curious silence. Judge Caprio watches the entrance with a measured expression. In 3 decades on the bench, he has seen every kind of defendant: nervous teenagers, exhausted parents, weary workers, angry individuals hiding their fear behind sharp tones. But this scene is different. The mismatch between the accusation in the file and the defendant in front of him is almost staggering. Miss Sinclair, he says gently. Good morning. Please take a seat. She folds into her chair with the fluid grace of someone trained to make even the smallest movements look intentional. Good morning, Your Honor. Her voice is polished, steady, and practiced. He glances at the file again, then at the young woman in front of him. You are charged with shoplifting merchandise valued at $380 from Riverside Boutique. Do you understand the charge? Yes, Your Honor, she replies, offering a smooth nod. But I believe this is all a misunderstanding. There it is, the subtle confidence of someone accustomed to explanations smoothing over consequences. Judge Caprio hears it instantly. Still, he gives her space to speak later. The prosecutor stands. Your Honor, the state will present its case. She describes the small boutique. A locally owned store, modest but carefully run. A place where every item placed on a shelf represents personal investment, long hours, hope, and perseverance. The prosecutor explains the security footage, the scarves, the belt, the wallet, all tucked into the defendant's handbag. The denial, the confrontation, the eventual police involvement. Judge Caprio listens with growing concern, not only because of the theft, but because of the brazenness of it. Is the store owner present? He asks. A woman stands. She is in her early 60s, neatly dressed, hands slightly trembling as she approaches the stand. She introduces herself as Elena Rodriguez, owner of Riverside Boutique for over 20 years. Her voice carries the soft resilience of someone who has built her life stitch by stitch. She recounts the incident with honesty and pain. There is no theatrics, no exaggeration, only the kind of upset that comes from watching someone treat your hard work as disposable. When she finishes, the room is quiet. Even Olivia, who had been composed until now, shifts in her seat. Judge Caprio turns to the defendant. Miss Sinclair, you may respond. Her attorney starts to rise, but she gently stops him with a touch to his arm. It is clear she believes she can explain this away herself. Your Honor, she begins calmly, I was distracted that day. I picked up several items and placed them in my purse absent-mindedly. I took a phone call. I simply forgot they were in there. It was a mistake. He studies her. You placed items inside your handbag and forgot they were there? Yes, Your Honor, I get distracted easily. Perhaps she believes this will soften the room. Perhaps she has used that explanation before. But the judge's expression does not shift. What do you do for a living, Miss Sinclair? She hesitates just a moment. I work in my mother's fashion design company. I help manage our branding. And your annual income? Her attorney objects. The judge overrules. Slowly, Olivia answers. Approximately $400,000, including trust distributions. A hush falls. Even her attorney clears his throat. The judge nods slowly. He looks at her clothing again. What brand is the suit you are wearing? She seems surprised by the question. Armani, Your Honor? And the cost? Around $5,000, I believe. He asks about the blouse. The shoes. The jewelry. The bag. She estimates each piece $800, $2,200, $8,000, $15,000, $12,000. He writes down the numbers carefully, methodically. When he looks up again, his tone is no longer curious. It is reflective, disappointed, and slightly wounded on behalf of the woman who sits quietly in the back of the room, the one who spent decades building a small store from nothing, asterisk. So you entered Mrs. Rodriguez's shop wearing roughly $44,000 worth of clothing and accessories. He says, and you want this court to believe you accidentally walked out with $380 worth of merchandise. Asterisk, there is no anger in his voice. Only clarity. Sometimes clarity is sharper than anger. Asterisk, her composure begins to fracture. Her eyes lower. Her shoulders tighten. Asterisk, Miss Sinclair, the judge continues, this is not about the dollar amount. This is about awareness. It is about respect. It is about someone who has everything choosing to take from someone who scrapes to keep her store alive. And it appears you walked into this courtroom today showing the same lack of awareness you showed in that boutique. Asterisk, her breath catches slightly. Her attorney shifts uncomfortably. Asterisk, the judge begins explaining the sentence. Restitution, a fine. Community service in small shops where she will learn what it means to fold clothes for minimum wage. To greet customers who may not buy anything. To survive on fragile margins. She appears relieved for a moment. Then he continues. Asterisk, but there is something else. He says quietly, and the room stills. Something symbolic. Something I believe will teach you the value of what you take for granted. Her eyes lift. You walked in wearing luxury worth more than many people make annually. So before you leave this courthouse today, you will donate every item you are wearing to the women's shelter nearby. Asterisk, a gasp ripples through the room. Her face pales. Asterisk, your suit, your shoes, your jewelry, your handbag, everything. Asterisk, her voice trembles. Your Honor, some of these items have sentimental asterisk, and the items you attempted to steal had value to Mrs. Rodriguez. He replies gently but firmly. Value you ignored. Her attorney objects again, but the judge remains resolute. She may choose, he says simply. Donate everything she is wearing or serve 30 days in jail. Asterisk, the room becomes so quiet that even the fluorescent hum above feels loud. Olivia's eyes well with tears. For the first time, real fear crosses her face, not fear of punishment, but fear of genuine accountability. Asterisk, she whispers the only choice she has left. I will donate everything. Asterisk, the judge nods. The bailiff approaches, and Olivia is led out trembling, stripped not of wealth, but of the illusion that wealth protects someone from consequence. Asterisk, that video spread everywhere. Comment sections burst with debate. Some argued that the punishment was harsh. Others believed it was poetic. But the true weight of the moment came later. Asterisk, the women's shelter raised tens of thousands of dollars selling the authenticated items, money that helped women rebuild their lives. Olivia completed every hour of community service and in the process learned the fragile human weight of hard work. She apologized to Mrs. Rodriguez in writing, admitting she had never understood the value of effort until she stepped behind a cash register herself. Asterisk. 2 years passed. Asterisk. Then one day Olivia returned to the same courtroom. She wore simple clothing. No designer labels? No jewelry that caught the light. She asked permission to speak. Asterisk. She thanked the judge. Not for humiliating her. Not for punishing her, but for preventing her from growing into someone hollow, someone who treated people as props and consequences as inconveniences. She admitted she had been lost in privilege so deeply that she did not even recognize her